4 titles in 4 consecutive years. A reign that saw them establish a remarkable record of 47 victories, 3 ties, and 4 losses. Establish a mark of 18 consecutive victories and a record of 29 games without a defeat. But there were 2 football leagues operating at this time. Naturally, partisan fans were making comparisons of the relative strength of their own teams and clamoring for playoff games. League rules prevented such a meeting, and finally in 1949, clubs of each organization merged and interest in professional football accelerated, and soon the fans were to have their questions answered. How would the Browns fare in the new league? Would this new competition bring the Browns' rule to an end? Great teams all justly challenging the Browns' supremacy to make 1950 pro football's greatest year. How would the Browns meet this challenge? Football experts started taking stock. The Cleveland Club had Paul Brown, surely an all-time great in football coaching accomplishments. An outstanding coaching staff in Tim Timiario, Blanton Collier, Fritz Heisler, and Weeb Eubank. All of them skilled in the science of the game. They had some proven veterans among the 52 candidates going to camp, and they had an ideal training had increased from both a family and Chubby Gregg, the biggest man in football. Flip Lewis, the Lakewood High grad, was preparing for his 5th year as an offensive and defensive specialist. Lynn Houston, an offensive guard, was also one of the 5-year grads. Alex Agassi, a defensive guard from Illinois, was back for his 3rd year with the Browns. Abe Gibran, a right guard, formerly of the Buffalo Bills. Jim Martin, the highly heralded All-American rookie from Notre Dame, represented additional strength on the flank. Marion Motley, a 5th-year man, represented the Browns' hope for the running game in the trap-draw-pass offense. Emerson Cole, a rookie from Toledo University, was one of 4 fullbacks fighting for the 1 fullback vacancy. And Lou Remkes, the dad of the team who had played for the National League before coming to the Browns, measured his 5 years of service by the growth of his twin sons, Pat and Mike. Lou was ready for his 5th year as offensive tackle. John Kissel, a tackle, was another of the players acquired from the Buffalo Bills. John Sandusky, a tackle from Villanova, who had been drafted by the Browns, reported late due to his participation in the All-Star game. Mac Speedy and his son Mike practiced the Browns' system of catching the football. Mac, as the other half of the Speedy-Lavelli combination, had also to prove that the rating won in other years could hold up against the big boys. George Young, defensive left end from Georgia and Great Lakes, another veteran. Lenny Ford was one of 7 ends that Paul Brown had to decide upon. His choice was a great one. Weldon Humble, a guard, our cowboy star of previous years, was ready for his 5th year. With his return, the players knew that their supply of Western stories would continue, and the coaches knew that the blocking assignments would be carried out. Darrell Palmer, a tackle and another Texan, was playing his second year with the Browns. Darrell formerly played with the New York Yanks. Frank Gatsky, center, referred to as the gunner in Little Abner, is all business when the whistle blows. Plan. Hal Herring, acquired from the Buffalo Bills, had the biggest shoes to fill, those vacated by Lou Saban. Herring said the shoes were tight. Rookie back Ken Gorgel from Purdue was trying for a backfield post, either at quarterback or as a halfback. Rex Bumgardner, another former Buffalo player with his wife, shared the anxiety of a season that had many question marks in it. Dub Jones, the lanky halfback from Tulane, showed real class in previous seasons as a ball carrier, and also had shown Ken Carpenter, a rookie from Oregon State, a halfback and extra point kicker. Dom Moselli from Superior State Teachers College flashed some real form. And Dopey Phelps from the University of Kentucky, a highly heralded speed merchant, a breakaway runner. Maury Kono, the equipment manager, had a big responsibility. New uniforms for a new season, along with new hopes. George Young modeled the new white jersey to be used by the Browns for day games, and Tony Adamley fashioned the brown jersey to be used at night. Even the helmets were different, and trainer Leo Murphy, who is responsible for the cure of aches and pains as well as their prevention, checked the equipment for perfect fit. Is fitted to George Young by Murphy to protect Young's face. George sustained a fractured cheek. Murphy had worked out sufficient protection with a complete scope of vision so as not to be an encumbrance to Young in the game. Also, it has to protect the back of George's neck, a very vulnerable spot. The Browns opened their season against the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia, and with some 71,000 in attendance, most of them National League fans of former years, the Browns had shocked the professional football world with a rude 35-10 jolting to the Eagles. But the question that sports fans around the country were asking was, the Browns got by this time, what about other clubs? What about the next time they play the Eagles? And with the knowledge that it was a long season, the Brownies' victory over Philadelphia was a glorious one, seemingly only for the Brown supporters. But the Browns' success against the Eagles had not given them any false sense of security, and a grim reminder of the league they were in was quickly brought out against the Giants when one of Otto's early throws was intercepted by Otto Schnellbacher. Another of Graham's aerials, intended for Speedy and labeled touchdown, became just another incomplete pass, as the Giants again came through with defensive know-how. But it wasn't just the defensive power of the Giants that had to be reckoned with. Halfback Roberts swept around the Browns' end, got by George Young, swept by Chubby Grigg, and it required the safety and defensive halfbacks to pull him down after a gain of 25 yards. The Giants continued to pound at the Browns. A sweep around the other end by Clay, a good block by Price on James. And Humble and Lewis finally stopped him just short of the goal line. The Giants now tried the middle of the Browns line, a line that had put up some great stands, and Price smashed over to put New York ahead 6-0. The Browns did block the extra point, but the Giants still had that big 6 points. The Browns came bouncing back, and with an excited crowd trying to root the team ahead, Graham gestured for silence. Dub Jones went in motion. Graham faked to Carpenter and passed to Dub Jones in the flat. Graham running out of the pocket, threw to Ken Carpenter, and the Oregon State Flash moves the ball within the 20. The Browns were threatening, but adversity struck as Motley and Graham bumped. The ball was fumbled and recovered by the Giants, and the Browns' scoring chance was gone. The Browns held the Giants at 6 points, and the Giants were blanking the Browns in the dying moments of the game. The Brownies, still fighting, tried a long pass to Speedy, just out of his fingertips, and with the pass went the Browns' hopes in their first defeat. And as the players, dejected, headed for the dressing rooms, the questions again were running through their minds. Are all these teams that good? And are we as good as we thought we were? The answers were still elusive in the Cardinal game. Chicago quarterback Jim Hardy connected with a pass to Bob Shaw for 42 yards. Shaw, who streaked for the end zone, was only stopped by a great tackle by Warren Lahr. The Browns also got a quick reminder that other teams had great ends and throwers when Hardy connected to end Jim Polesfoot in the end zone for a touchdown. Another mental jolt was a reminder that the Cardinals also had a great running attack. Elmer Angsman swept the Browns' right end, and with beautiful blocking started down the field. Tony Adamle crossed over to get him on the Browns' 43-yard line. Another problem for the Browns was the fact that other teams had field goal kickers like Argroza. Harder connected with this one, 47 yards, to put the Cardinals ahead in the first quarter, 10-0. The sign of a champion is the ability to come back, and the Browns started to click as Otto Graham lofted a pass to end Max Speedy. Bumgardner threw a block, and Speedy, fighting to get into the end zone, was finally detoured at the Cardinals' 4-yard line. With Tommy James holding, Groza booted. The ball was up in the air, and eyes strained for the signal from the referee. It was good, and the score was tied at 10-all. The offensive know-how of the Cards again was shown as Elmer Angsman on a statue play swept the flank. And it took Bill Willis to put an abrupt end to his bid for a touchdown, but the Cardinals with the first down were bidding for another score. Fullback Pat Harder took 3 of the Browns with him as he just got over the chalk line to again put the Cardinals ahead in the ball game, 17-10. The Cardinals held the Browns and once again took possession of the ball, and with monotonous clockwork again took to the air. Hardy picked out end Bob Shaw. Shaw straight-armed Cliff Lewis, and with one final leap beat Tommy James in the race for the end zone. And with Harder's automatic toe working overtime, the Cardinals held a 24-10 lead. The Browns, now trailing by 2 touchdowns, cooked a little fancy play of their own. Graham passed to Lavelli. Quick-thinking Dottie lateral to Marion Motley, and Marion streaked to the 29 before being hauled down by Davis and Don Paul. But the Browns were on the move. Left them short by 1 touchdown. The Browns, now more confident, kicked off to the Cardinals, and the defensive unit reflected their desire to stop them by the tackles they made on the kickoff. The Browns held, the Cards were forced to kick, and again the Browns had 4. With the Browns in possession and the Cards holding, Lou the Toe again was called upon, and Groza delivered with a 19-yard field goal to give the Browns a 27-24 lead, and for the first time in the game, they were ahead. The Browns, with a slight lead, called upon the defensive unit to hold. As Trapuka went back to pass, the Browns poured in. Harder blocked Ford, but Lenny spun off, and with Martin made the tackle, throwing the Cardinals for a loss. Again, the Cards tried to go to the air. Harder concentrated on blocking Ford. And did. Martin poured in from the other side, hit Trapuka so hard that Trapuka fumbled. John Kissel recovered the ball, and the Browns took over. But Lenny Ford, who was seriously hurt in the play, had to leave the game. And the Browns, who had the lead, had the ball, had lost a great defensive end. The Browns took advantage of the fumble. With Carpenter in motion, Graham faded a pass. The Cards rushed, and Graham, finding no receivers, elected to run. Otto busted to the 20 before he got sandwiched, but the Browns had a first down. Several plays later, Motley found the right opening and bowled his way over to put the Browns ahead in the football game, and their victory over the Chicago Cardinals, 34-24. The Browns went into New York to face the Giants, the first National League club to nip the Browns, And as Graham was hit and fumbled, the jinx of the Giants seemed to hold true. Although the Browns' defensive unit was alert and ready as Tidwell passed into the end zone. James knocked it down, and the Browns seemed to have their confidence restored. But the Giants, using a favorite Brown weapon, the field goal, took a first-quarter lead as Ray Poole came through with a three-pointer of 33 yards. The Browns' offensive arm couldn't make any appreciable progress against the Giants inside the 20, and in the second quarter, Groza matched the Giants' strategy with a three-pointer of 18 yards. Groza's kick not only matched Poole's, but the scoreboard read 3 for the Browns, 3 for the Giants. In the second quarter, the Browns clicked. Graham threw a screen pass to Bumgardner. Groza threw a beautiful block that took 2 Giants out of the play. And Rex traveled to the 10-yard line. But the Giants stopped the forward motion, and again the Browns reverted to the field goal. Groza booted from the 17. Got assurance and applause from Tommy James, and the referee was an inspiring sight for the Browns at this point in the game, and the scoreboard was not disappointing either. The Browns kicked off, one of those booming kicks of Groza's. Austin Darp let the ball roll, and Ken Carpenter recovered, and the Browns had possession. On a kickoff, the ball is a free ball, and the Giants gave the Browns their only gift of the season. Graham, on a quarterback sneak, found the opening and went over to give the Browns their only touchdown against the Giants. And the Browns seemed to be well on their way to revenge for an earlier defeat with a 13-3 lead in the second quarter. But any sense of security that the Browns may have felt was quickly dispelled. As Joe Scott circled the Browns' right end, Ken Gorgo played it cautious and finally got Scott out of bounds, but not before he reached the Browns' 32. To prove that it was no accident, Scott repeated, and with some great running and fine blocking, drove down to within the Browns' 20. Before Tony Adamley and Tommy Thompson brought him down, the Giants were taking those big steps again. Forrest Griffith, the left half, polished off the Giants' sustained drive by knifing through for a touchdown. And the third quarter score found the Browns' lead reduced to 3 points with plenty of time remaining in the game. The Browns started to come right back, but adversity struck as the ball was fumbled. And 2 Giants, like birds of prey, pounced on the elusive pigskin, and the Giants were ready to threaten again. It took the Giants just one play to capitalize. Joe Scott ran off tackle and just managed to get over the line. But over he was, and the Browns were over the barrel. And with less than 8 minutes remaining in the game, New York led 17-13. With minutes left in the game, the Browns, still hoping, fired a pass play with Graham throwing to Max Speedy. Speedy, ever alert, threw the ball out of bounds to stop the clock. With seconds remaining, the Browns tried for that one last scoring play. Graham passed, intended for Speedy. But Schnellbacher was there to get it, and the Browns went down to their second defeat of the season, 17-13. And for the first time in the history of the Browns, a double defeat by the same team in one season. Yes, they had plenty of reason now to be concerned about their future in the National League. Less than half of the season had been played, and they had been beaten twice by the New York Giants. Just as a field goal figured in so many other Brown victories, the Browns started their game against the Washington Redskins with an early three-pointer that put them ahead 3-0. And when Otto Graham trapped, ran to his right, and flipped a touchdown pass to Dante Lavelli in the end zone, it looked like the Browns might not have too much to worry about. With a lead of 10 points, the Browns looked like they were in. I said look, and that was about the extent of their security. For on the next play, the Redskins rushed. Graham, trying to dodge the pesky skins, faked, dodged, twisted, and ran to his left. Saw Lavelli open and threw. Paul Haynes came up to intercept. And the fast little Washington back streaked down the sideline. He was tackled, but his great speed carried him into the end zone, and the Browns' 10-point lead was being whittled down. Bill Dudley, the Redskins' halfback and point kicker, using an odd but effective style, kicked the extra point. And the second quarter saw the Browns lead by only 3 points, 10-7. With 43 seconds remaining in the half, the Redskins held the Browns again. Lou Groza and his toe were called upon once again, and Lou delivered with another three-pointer to increase the Browns' margin to 6 points and give them a 13-7 halftime lead. But certainly a small margin indeed. The Redskins came bouncing out for the third quarter. Harry Gilmer picked out left halfback Eddie Sens, threw a perfect pass, and Sens moved to the Browns' 3. Several plays later, fullback Bob Good hit into the line, spun off a tackler, and into the end zone for the score, tying the game. Bill Dudley, again with that odd form, booted the Redskins into the lead, 14-13. With the lights on because of the dark day, Dopey Phelps raced around end. Speedy and Bumgardner blocked, and Phelps went the 9 yards for the score to put the Browns back into a temporary lead of 20-14. With 4.5 minutes remaining in the game, the Browns were breathing easier, but only till Groza kicked the ball. Speedy Eddie Sens gathered up the pigskin and scooted 70 yards all the way to the Browns' 30. Ken Gorgel and Donnie Lavelli made the tackle. With a fourth down, Gilmer threw a pass. Alex Agassiz circled, got his hand on the ball, and he bobbled it. Al DeMayo caught it for the Redskins, but Washington had failed to make the yardage, and the Browns took over. And with the ball also went the game, and the Browns had squeaked by the Washington Redskins 28-14. The Philadelphia Eagles, smarting from their humiliating defeat against the Browns in the season's opener, came into the Cleveland Stadium for the return game. And to add to their injured pride was Adam Lee's tackle on Pete Pihos in one of the first plays, an indication that the defense was to play a major role if the Browns were to be victorious. Warren Lahr gave this belief further credence when he intercepted Thompson's pass. And as the shocked Eagles pursued, Lahr put the Browns ahead in the early moments of the contest. Groza booted, and the Browns led 7-0. In the second quarter, the Browns were stopped, and again Lou Groza was called upon for a field goal. With James holding, Groza booted. The ball sailed into the air. Thousands waited as one man, the referee, looked, then signaled. It was good, and the Browns led 10-0. In the third quarter, the Browns moved down to the 43, and again a field goal was called. Groza again booted, and again the crowd waited for the signal that it was good. The Eagles were not to be denied, however, and in the fourth quarter, Jim Farmer carried over the middle of the line, and the Eagles had 7 points. But the game was over. The Browns had kept pace with the Giants and were still tied for first place. More importantly, had beaten the Eagles for the second time, 13-7. The Browns moved to Washington for the last league game of the season, still tied with the Giants. With so much at stake, tempers flared, and Motley was lost to the Browns for a game that they had to win. The question of victory seemed remote indeed for the Browns. But tempers were not the only factor to dim the Brownies' hopes. Sammy Baugh tossed a pass with such ease to Justice for a touchdown that even the most ardent Browns rooter wavered just a little. Harry Gilmer, who got massaged by Martin, got off a great pass to Hugh Taylor. And the great Washington end seemed to stroll into the end zone for the score, and indeed the Browns' hopes seemed to be about as bright as the snowflakes that were falling. And when Bill Dudley skirted the Browns' end for 22 yards and another tally, It looked like the Browns' first year in the National League was just about over. But the Browns were by no means beaten yet. Otto Graham faded back, spotted Dub Jones in the end zone, and the Browns had even one touchdown. Graham, with great protection, found Rex Bumgardner wide open. And Rex headed for the end zone to nullify another Washington score. Again, the Browns took to the air. Graham faded back, then walked back into his pocket. Saw Dub Jones open and passed to the Dubber to even the count. Now it was all even. The Browns were matching the Redskins. Then perhaps one of the oddest plays that ever broke up a ball game occurred. Sammy Baugh's pass intended for Dudley. Warren Lahr, flat on the ground, batted the ball up in the air, got back up on his feet, and while everyone thought the pass was incomplete, Lahr raced in for another score. We'll run it again so that you might watch the play. There's Baugh passing. Lahr goes over to cover Dudley. Falls, bats the ball up in the air, holds it to his body, gets back up on his feet, and with Adamle and Willis blocking, goes for the touchdown. An amazing play, to be sure. With the game breaking wide open, Dopey Phelps collaborated with some great blocking to thrill the fans. Moselli threw the first block, and as other Browns chopped down their man, Phelps started his run for the score. A run of 53 yards that furnished the Browns with a game that they had to win and a victory over Washington 45-21. Thus, the Browns were assured of a tie with the New York Giants, a team they had never beaten, and a playoff game in Cleveland the following week. It started off in typical Brown Giants fashion with a field goal attempt of 11 yards by Lou Groza. The kick was good, and the Browns in their bid for the championship led 3-0. In the fourth quarter, with the Browns leading, running from their A formation, halfback Roberts got away from Lahr and Motley. Moved down to the Browns' 25. He got to the 15, the 10, before Bill Willis finally caught him from behind, stopping the Giants' bid for a touchdown, at least for the moment. With 6 minutes remaining in the game, the Giants tried a field goal, and Oscar Clay booted one that tied the ball game at 3-all. On a fourth down and with 1 minute left in the game, Lou Groza again booted. It was good, and the Browns led 6-3. Bill Willis's safety in the last few seconds gave the Browns an 8-3 victory and the right to meet the Rams for the National Football League championship. So far, the Browns had done well in the National Football League. But now all the Browns had worked for, the weeks of practice, the grueling schedule, all was to be wrapped up in one game, the championship game with the Los Angeles Rams. Tony Adamle, a symbol of the defense, reflected the Browns' readiness for the big game of a big year in football. The defensive team, who had figured so prominently in the Browns' success, were introduced, and their alignment as an offensive weapon was to be a harbinger of things to come. The Browns kicked off, and Vitamin Smith, taking the ball back, reflected some of the key spirit of the game. Quarterback Bob Waterfield on the first play from scrimmage on a very slippery field hoisted a pass to Glenn Davis, the Army All-American. Davis outraced the Browns to ring up a score in the first 25 seconds. And certainly the ease with which the Rams had scored caused more than just a few of the fans to wonder what the final scoreboard would read. 7-0 was dark enough for the Browns, even in the first quarter. But Otto Graham proved that he was not taking a back seat to Waterfield. Otto fired a perfect pass to Dub Jones in the end zone. The dubber gathered it in, and the Browns rooters really cut loose with the acclaim that such a performance merited. The scoreboard showing 7-7 was anticlimactic. The Rams came back. Waterfield, number 7, handed off to Smith on a statue play. Finley finally blocked Herring. And only Tommy James could stop the Rams' bid for a touchdown. But the Rams had a first down and the Browns 3. Fullback Dick Horner, displaying the driving force that won him acclaim as a great fullback, dug his way into the end zone to put the Rams right back into the lead. And the Browns found themselves on the short end of a 14-7 score. The defensive ability of the Browns helped greatly in this game. Gillum put his heart and soul into this punt, and Phil Willis, taking 2 men with him, buttoned up a perfect defensive maneuver. In the second quarter, the Browns held. Then Otto fired a screen pass to Max Speedy. Groza threw a block, and Speedy moved to the Rams' 26-yard line. Again, the fans began to chant for the Browns to score. Then Graham faded back, threw to LaValle. And Dowdy on a Z-in pattern loped into the end zone to put the Browns within 1 point of a tie. On the try for the extra point, the pass was juggled. Quick-thinking Tommy James ran to his right, fired a pass intended for Adamley. Tony's fingers, numb with the cold, just couldn't hang on, and the Browns trailed by 1 point, a point that could determine the championship. At the half, the Browns still trailed by that 1 point, and it began to look bigger with every minute. Waterfield had missed a field goal, and the Browns were heartened with a possible change of fortune. Early in the third quarter, Graham, giving one of his great exhibitions, fired another perfect pass to LaValle. The timing was so perfect that Donnie crossed in front of the defensive back, took the pass without losing a step, and was in the end zone for a score to put the Browns back in front 20-14. The only dark spot in an otherwise bright picture was the 1 point miss. But the Rams bounced right back. Fullback Dick Horner pulled over from the Browns' 1-yard line, and the Rams were back in the lead 21-20. And the 1 point loomed as an even bigger obstacle to the Browns in their bid for the title. In the third quarter, on the first play after the kickoff, adversity struck a blow that would have ended the game for a weaker team. Gillum threw a great block. Motley started around the end, was trapped near the sideline, reversed his field, ran into a host of tacklers, slipped, lost the ball, and the Rams' left end, Larry Brink, scooped it up, gave the Rams a tainted touchdown, but a lead of some 8 points, 28-20. With 10.5 minutes remaining in the game, Graham uncorked another dazzling pass, and Rex Bumgardner thrilled the excited crowd to the fever point with a tremendous catch that enabled the Browns to move within 1 point of the Rams to 27. The unit held the Rams, and with 5 minutes remaining in the game, Graham faded the pass, started to run, got down to within the 20, then was hit and fumbled. And with the fumble, the despair of Graham was shared by many thousands. Now the Browns had to stop the Rams. Horner, the fullback, attempting to go inside tackle, was stopped by Gregg. Horner, the fullback, now tried off tackle, but the Browns were ready and determined to stop him, and Lenny Ford was there to do the job. Glenn Davis, the fleet halfback, cut off left tackle in a desperate bid for a first down, and the Browns, in an even more desperate effort, stopped him 4 yards short of a first down, making it 4th and 4. The clock continued to click off the minutes. Waterfield went back into punt formation, got off another great kick. Cliff Lewis returned to the Browns 31 before being bounced out of bounds, but the hopes of the Browns were still alive. They had the football and some minutes still on the clock. Graham faded back to pass. Seeing his receivers covered, tried to pick his way forward. and ran 11 yards before being hauled down on his own 47. Graham again took to the air, and fighting the clock pass to Rex Bumgardner on the 40. Rex stepped out of bounds, stopping the clock and giving the Browns a chance. 1 minute, 25 seconds remained in the game. Graham passed again, this time intended for Bumgardner. Namitz of the Rams knocked the ball down and came close to intercepting. The pass was incomplete, of course, but the Browns' hopes were still alive. Graham still went to the air, lofted another aerial. Dub Jones was there to get it, and the Browns had the ball on the Rams' 22 with 55 seconds remaining in the game. Precious seconds kept ticking off. Graham passed to Bumgardner on the Rams' 11. The Browns had a first down, and with 45 seconds remaining, Otto moved the ball over on a sneak in a position for a field goal attempt. Rosa and the kicking team were alerted. And here, just as we broadcast it, is what happened with the voices in the background, the voices of the people at the game, who were hoping that the Browns could come up with the right answer. Rosa will attempt a field goal. It'll be 15 yards. He boots the ball. It's up in the air. It's gone! It's gone! It's gone! Yes, these are the sounds of people, the people of Cleveland, Ohio, who had watched the Browns supply the answer to all the questions. The Browns' chances in the National... The Cleveland Browns was the answer. This answer summed up the months of practice, the combined effort, the trainers, the office staff. Yes, the effective organization known as the Browns, who are looking forward to future seasons in the National Football League with the best show in football, the World Championship.